Benue volunteer guards. We are creating a vigilante group with millions of Fulanis, Mieti Allah. Saleh Alassane, the National Secretary of Mieti Allah, in a video shared on YouTube by ICIR, disclosed that the Fulani communities are mobilizing their own security outfit to fight back the powers that be against them. The powers that be against them. Let's be specific. Who are these powers? Alassane said this while reacting to the recent inauguration of volunteer guards by the Benue state government. It will be recalled that Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State recently set up a security outfit known as the Volunteer Guards to complement the efforts of conventional security agencies in the state. He also appealed to Muhammadu Buhari to allow the security outfit to bear AK-47 rifles. Well, that is something they should have sorted out before. You can't be pleading for the kind of weapons to be used when you've inaugurated them. Am I getting something wrong? Well, Alassane, who is against Governor Ortom's establishment of the vigilante group and his request for the group to bear firearms, alleged that security outfits established by the state governors in all parts of the country are doing more harm than good to Fulani pastoralists, and to protect their interests, the Fulani are working on creating their own vigilante group, which will be made up of millions of Fulanis. Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, listen, we already know the tensions between the Benue State governor and, of course, Mieti Allah. I think, of course, when they say, or when the news hub as the news platform describes, the Mieti Allah to fight back the powers that be against them, it's like, okay, fine. Why do you feel like you're going to be straight under attack by the governor, by these volunteer guards? Why? Because if you're not doing anything wrong, why should you be worried? Why should you be worried? Because you can ask, well, did Nigerians everywhere have a right to be worried when we knew the government was paying these bandits, not just as, to get back those that were captured, but as just, as help, because they were jobless, so they needed money for livelihood. And really, let's not make it a war thing. It's going to get there, let's be realistic, because now Mieti Allah will probably feel like, oh, we're now under attack with Fulanis. But then again, with how you see it, well, except you're going to buy, because again, him stating that is buying into the narrative that all Fulanis are going to be a certain kind, which of course is not right, and is very much prejudice. It's not right to assume that, but you make it valid when you say, well, you want to fight back the powers that be against the Fulanis. Then that is when, we can start reading in between the lines. But what is more worrying, because, the Benue governor has created this vigilante group to complement the security agencies already in the state, and it's a problem. I don't understand. What we're gonna have is let's be realistic. A civil war could literally, if we're not careful, we could get there, because what you're having is every region have their own. You have Yamotekun, you have ESN, even within the southeast. That's the thing. It's like within a state, you have the government and the people fighting against each other. You have ESN of the IPOB and you have ESN of the government. Eastern Security Network, Ebibiago Security Network. That's within one region. More fiery. And then you have in Benue State, Mieti Allah planning as a rebuttal to have their own as well, which they believe will be made up of millions of Fulanis. It's a problem. Every region in the country wants to have its own security outfit. Why? Because things are so bad, we can't even trust. Because what's the point? If it's reforms that you need, if it's the fact that you need to invest in better arms, then great. But you're making a whole separate group and now asking if they can carry arms. Not just anybody can carry AK-47s. But if you're going to make vigilante groups, you can literally justify that every other vigilante groups would be able to carry AK-47s. But then it's funny because Mieti Allah is getting pressed about this when Fulani herdsmen had AK-47s. Do we want to talk about that? So they can't be reacting as if it's a war against them. The government that you also happen to be under has put them in the position where they have to defend themselves, because the real culprits will not be addressed. They will not be treated with the wrath of the law, as they say, but just a pat on the back and, you know what, don't do that again. And you give them money. Funny, because bandits have come out to say, well, the money that, your government has given to us, we used it to buy more arms. Wow, surprise, surprise. So what is even more alarming is the fact that, okay, fine, we're having these states, individuals, like, or regions, having their vigilante, official. Of course, the vigilante groups have always existed within communities, but now it's official. It's like, okay, fine, the government is backing this. I don't know if I find it to be a problem. I really, really do. Not that you should start overthinking and getting worried unnecessarily, but we do have a right to get worried. Well, there is nothing wrong with Fulani forming their security guards, but that should be in respective states, protecting their people. Otherwise, it calls for civil war in other states. Exactly. Because what you actually have is not necessarily a rebuttal. Of course, in the Southeast, ESN, Ibiago Security Network, was just, Southeast is it's just different over there. But what we're trying to avoid is a civil war in other states, because each state would have, I already find it to be a problem, but it's more acceptable to say that each state would have their own vigilante group to protect themselves. Then that is fine. That should be fine. But in this case, Mieti Allah wants to do it as, make theirs as a rebuttal against what the government has put in place. Well, we will see how that goes, but everything I guess should be fine. Hopefully. Fulani should leave Nigeria alone and go back to their countries. Hausa should send them back. You can't, that's pretty much very backwards. With how the world works, people integrate a lot. So where are you going to send them back to? Where are you sending them back to? And we're talking years of mixing. It's just genetic at this point. You can't, except we have a group of undiluted just Fulanis in one area. But then if you look at Fulanis in the Hausa region, well, they've integrated well enough to be part of the Hausa community, but of course to be able to be distinguished, but not distinguished enough to send them to wherever you think they came from. I don't think it works like that. Put what you think about this in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.